we are going to continue the theme of forward-thinking herd management by looking ahead to what producers are already planning for, the expected quota allocations coming in 2027 and 2028. Even though the timeline shifted, the need for preparation hasn't changed. To dig into the strategies, challenges, and opportunities that lie ahead, Paul is going to be joined by WestGen sales manager Kevin. Both of them have been having plenty of conversations with producers across Western Canada about how to get ready. So, Paul, I'll let you take the lead of the next discussion.
Thanks, Krista. And yeah, we had actually a seminar on this topic last winter already. The quota allocations haven't come as quickly as maybe some of us were thinking it was going to at that point. But in any case, we're told that they're coming. So let's still focus on getting ready for that. But what we were really focusing on when we did that seminar, Krista, was and Kevin, how to make more milk without making major investments in infrastructure. So obviously, if we have the luxury of building a new barn or doing something that gets us ready for that expected growth, that's great. But there's lots of farms over the last few years, things have been tight and are looking to try to find a way to make that milk without making a major infrastructure investment. So we did that seminar thinking quota allocations would come quickly, but now we've got a bit more time maybe even to plan that out, Kevin, and consider their options. So Kevin, the quota policies are not yet the same across all provinces. So, we talked a little bit earlier today about the example in BC. To be eligible for quota, you can't have sold quota in the last 12 months, but filling quota will come also with greater penalties if you don't fill the quota, I should say. But in essence, for most producers that are in BC, or not in BC or one of the other three provinces, the question is really about being in a position to capitalize on the additional quota that's coming. So what kind of conversations are you having now with customers about getting ready to make more milk?
Well, good morning, everybody. I'd like to say that coming from the UK and Ireland, I think Canadian farmers are very fortunate to have a quota system, because right now in the UK, if anybody's following on anything worldwide on milk production, the UK is in a complete disaster at the moment, where milk prices crashed by over 30 cents a litre in the past 3 months, and will further crash into the new year. And at the moment, there's loads of milk just not being picked up. The producers are just saying, just throw it down the drain, they're overflowing. So I think Canada is very fortunate to have a really good quota system. So, but looking at the different regions, obviously in BC, you have to be prepared, because if your farm is not capable of producing extra milk, you're maxed out, you can't build, you need to plan. So maybe, looking at selling quota now rather than in 12 months time when you can't sell it, because then you won't get your new allocation. So planning is absolutely crucial. And, looking at your infrastructure, some farms will be able to increase, some farms won't. But ultimately, it'd be crucial to have planned that you've got enough replacements in the pipeline so that you can maximise, your milk production per stall and things like that. So I'd say the biggest thing is planning for the future, because the one thing you can't do is just in 15 months or 2 years' time, we can't flick a switch and produce 15% more milk. We need to be planning now. We need to, you need to have exactly how you can do it. All planned out. So to me, planning is the biggest thing going forward, to be ready for it.
And then a follow-up question related to more the tailored piece for farmers that don't have the luxury to put that expensive addition onto the barn. Obviously, borrowing costs are up a lot. The whole idea of trying to sell a bank on building a new barn is difficult right now. So do you have some specific strategy suggestions for producers that need to work within the infrastructure that they have and still want to be able to capitalize on that quota that's coming?
Yes, so there's quite a few things that you can do. So one thing is obviously producing more milk per stall. So like generally older cows give more milk. So if you've got more cows producing a lot more milk, you're going to get more return for your farm without having to make any investment. Also, create more heifers. So again, if you've got more heifers, you've then got the option to, if a cow isn't performing, she goes, and with the barren price being so high at the moment, you're going to get a good return on her, but you're going to keep your production up per stall, or per cubicle space. So that's two things that you can do. Some farms that, they can go to 3 times a day, and that automatically gives you, at least 10 to maybe 15% of an increase. So some farms will be able to do that. Obviously, robot farms that are on 3 times a day won't be able to do that. But also, growing quality feed is essential to get the best out of your cows. And also, talking to your feed specialist, because you can alter feed as well to get more milk. So just things like that, without having to spend any investment, you can certainly plan to up your production as well.
Yeah, and then kind of the similar question. So it's doubtful that many producers. There's going to be a lot of producers that aren't going to be able to capitalize on growth expected if they're not planning to do any building and the barns are already full. So you had mentioned, sale of quotas is a potential strategy that can be used. If you do that now in advance of quota allocations, then at least you'll qualify for the what is to come, right?
Yeah. So I mean, again, it's all about planning. If you know that you can't expand, got no scope at all to expand, so therefore selling quota now, and then it gives you 12 months at least or more, so that you will qualify for the new quota. So that is essential if you know that you cannot do any more to increase your production, or you can only increase your production by a little bit. So yeah, so planning for that is huge. Also looking maybe, you may be able to farm out your heifers, so like farming them out into heifer ranches, or even my short time here in BC, I see quite a lot of barns that are empty. So maybe looking around to farmers that have sold up to go and rear heifers there. So getting your options to make more space for a few cows whilst farming out your heifers, is essential. But one of the most important things is making sure that you get your cows and calves. So focusing on repro is huge, and having a high pregnancy rate is crucial. So having a high preg rate is more milk per day per cow. So something like utilising Sense Hub is essential. Obviously we're fortunate that we sell Sense Hub, and we've had loads of success where farmers are utilising Sense Hub, and the ones that have put it in are comfortably achieving 30% preg rate whilst using sexed semen and beef. So also the gain from that is also they're getting a really good beef calf price as well. So it's a win-win for the farmer. So yeah, so utilising Sense Hub to me and getting your repro up to date is essential.
Now I'm going to say this tongue in cheek a little bit, but some producers will be tempted as new allocations come and barns are full just to simply overcrowd and make more milk that way. So what are your thoughts on that strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I've got quite strong thoughts on that, Paul. I just think all I've seen in numerous occasions where overcrowding has got a huge knock-on effect. So like by overcrowding your cows, you get far more lameness, you get far more incidence of mastitis and higher cell count. So I would highly be against overcrowding. There's just too many disasters down the road. Some farms that have got modern large sheds that have got big wide passageways with loads of space and sand cubicles, they can get away with it to a degree. But if you've got a smaller barn with narrow passageways, overcrowding is a complete disaster. The other thing to really be careful of is your 2-year-olds. Your 2-year-olds come in, they're new into a herd, so they're under huge stress already. Then you put them in with a big bully, and if they're overcrowded, they're the heifers that will really, the animals that really struggle, and they're your future of your herd. So they're growing and developing. So if you hurt them, they will hurt you down the road because you won't get the maximum out of them. So yeah, I'm very, very strongly against overcrowding. Yeah.
I suspected you might be actually. The expected growth will obviously also put a strain on heifers, and replacement prices, I think, can be predicted, especially as people have been focusing so much on trying to capitalize on high beef prices and using beef on dairy. But what are your thoughts on, a producer that says, what if I trade some of my heifer space, and they're not thinking of a heifer ranch necessarily, but maybe they're thinking to use that heifer space for dry cows, and maybe accept that they need to purchase some heifers instead of rearing them themselves.
Yeah, I mean, again, if overcrowding your calving pens is a complete disaster as well. So you definitely need to make sure you have enough room and don't overcrowd your close-up cows, because again, the knock-on effect is crucial. Again, I've seen plenty of. I was on a farm last week where they're buying in lots of replacements, and all the replacements that they're buying in, they're probably within 2 months are losing 20, 30, 40% of them animals. Some of them animals have come in where they look fine, and the stress of calving, they've had lung damage as a younger animal, and the pressure of calving, stress comes on, and they're gone within 6 weeks, 2 months. So especially if you've got a close herd, selling your replacements and then thinking you're going to buy them back in 2 years' time, a couple of things. One, replacements are 5,000 roughly at the moment to bring in a fresh heifer. In 2 years' time, when everybody wants replacements and everybody, needs to produce more milk, what price do you think they're going to be? They're probably going to be 7,000, maybe even 10,000. So you've got to bear that in mind, that if you sell your lump stock today, you've got to buy them back at more than double what they probably are right now. So, but also the other side to that is, it has a knock-on effect for you. If you've got a closed herd and you start buying in fresh animals, you're going to bring diseases into your herd that your herd has not got. So like bringing in dermatitis, bringing in, all sorts of viruses, again, has a huge knock-on effect. So I would strongly advise you not to go down that route of thinking, I'm going to buy in heifers. Plan to raise enough heifers, and if you can, farm them out and get somebody to rear them for you is a far better option than thinking you're going to buy in heifers.
And I think that probably goes down the path of not all heifers are created equally, right?
Yeah.
So appreciate very much your thoughts there, Kevin. Thank you for your first time involvement on this panel. So thanks. We may call on you again sometime.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Paul.